Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian James. I'm the Chief of Police of the Greensboro Police Department. Uh, we want to start out by talking about some of the events that have happened over the last 24 hours. We have a number of city representatives here with us, including the Sheriff of Guilford County, Danny Rogers. Before I say anything, I first would like to allow the mayor of our city, Mayor Nancy Vaughn, to have a few words.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank you all for coming out this afternoon. As the chief said, the last 24 hours have been awfully stressful in our city. You know, the protest started around noon yesterday, and I have to say for most of the day they went off without a hitch. We think it's important that people are allowed to protest and say what's on their mind. We've seen an awful lot of events over the last few months that really are very, very concerning. The death of George Floyd was the last of them. And I want to say that I too feel that Black Lives Matter, and people have to be able to say that and to be out in our community. And it's very important to hear those words. But there were people in those groups yesterday that came to our community to start trouble. And that happened at the end of those events yesterday. At the end of what was for most of the day a peaceful event, as it was breaking up, there were people who decided to act irresponsibly, and they started breaking windows out on South Elm Street. And as that was happening, I heard some of the protesters to say, "Stop that. That's not what we are here for." And I think that is important to say. I walked along Elm Street today and spoke to many of the business owners. It was really gratifying to see all the volunteers that came out, brought wood to help them board up their windows. Many of the business owners have decided to board up all of their windows because they don't know what will happen over the next couple of days. That a lot of the restaurants brought out food for the volunteers. People came to help sweep up. The business owners are grateful for the volunteers and that they are dedicated to rebuild. And we as a city and downtown Greensboro, and County Commissioner Skip Alston was there, and he was there to offer his support. We're going to rebuild downtown, especially South Elm. We are not going to let a few interlopers take apart what we have spent a long time building. We are Greensboro Strong, and we are a community, and we are going to move forward. And I also want to say I'm very proud of the way that our police force reacted yesterday. They have done a tremendous job, and we are a great community. And while we had a very difficult couple of hours, we are not going to be defined by those hours. Greensboro is a great place to live and do business, and we are going to move beyond that. So that is my message today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we'll have Sheriff Rogers from the Guilford County Sheriff's Office.
Good afternoon. I'm Sheriff Danny H. Rogers with Guilford County Sheriff's Office. The last couple of weeks has really been tough. But I'm here to tell you that we're here to make sure, as a law enforcement organization, working alongside with our Greensboro partners, Greensboro Police Department and High Point Police Department, we will do our jobs and do the best that we can to make sure that everybody understands that we're not here to bring any type of strife. We're here to make sure that everybody is treated fairly and everything works right. Last night was really, it was different for me to see how people wanted to tear up stuff. We know you used to see it on television, but when it's in your own county, then it was a different story for me. So we just want the community to know that we, as a law enforcement organization with the Sheriff's Office, I believe I can speak on behalf of the Greensboro Police Department as well, and High Point Police Department, we will continue to be transparent. We will make sure that anything that needs to be done to ensure that the safety of our citizens, our residents, the officers, we will make sure that everybody understands that we will be transparent and do the job that we need to get done. Anything that violates those constitutional rights of any human being, residents, citizens of Guilford County, anybody that disrespects any residents or citizens of Guilford County from the Sheriff's Office and fail to be professional, we will not tolerate it. We are here to ensure that everybody is here to enjoy Guilford County, Greensboro, and High Point and the surrounding areas. The people that came into our county yesterday and last night and brought the destruction with them, we will not tolerate that. We'd like to make sure that everybody understands that our goal is to make sure that we are all on one accord. But the outsiders that came in and those that are local that may have participated with the outsiders to bring havoc and bring destruction to our city, to our county, we will not have it. We need your help. We need your love as well. But we need to make sure that we understand. Things do happen. Unfortunately, we're here at a place because of some things that went wrong. But our goal is to make sure that we here in Guilford County can be accountable, transparent, and make sure that you as the citizens and residents of Guilford County understand that we're here for you. I thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you, Sheriff. And just starting out, and I'm going to reiterate a few things that the mayor said. So between 11 and 12 yesterday, we received our first group of protesters downtown in the area of the Civil Rights Museum. And let me say that on Friday, I was asked about the possibility of a protest here in Greensboro. And I said, I hope that the protest is peaceful and meaningful. And let me say that a majority of the protest yesterday was peaceful and meaningful. A number of our local activists and organizers were in contact with us yesterday, working in cooperation to make sure that people had an opportunity to express their First Amendment rights peacefully. That happened for a majority of the day. A number of people came to the community that do not live here. Things still remain peaceful for a good bit of time throughout the day. As you know, at one point, Gate City Boulevard was blocked because a number of the protesters went out onto Gate City Boulevard. We made a decision as an agency not to engage the protesters at any point and shut the road down to give them an opportunity to protest and walk down Gate City. The protesters did enter onto Interstate 40. That was not expected. However, we were able to manage it, and we did have a lot of help. Sheriff Rogers and the Guilford County Sheriff's Office assisted us, as well as the State Highway Patrol, Troop D here in Guilford County, and also the High Point Police Department. We were able to shut down Interstate 40. No one was injured. After the protesters stayed on Interstate 40 for a good while, we were able to procure a GTA bus through Assistant City Manager Kim Sowell, thanks to her, for getting a GTA bus out there to get a majority of the protesters back to the downtown area. A majority of those protesters that were on the bridge on I-40, which many of you saw, left the area once they were back into the downtown area. By then, a number of other waves of protesters or groups of protesters had actually come downtown, and we were literally in the process of monitoring two separate protests at one point along Elm Street. Last night, later into the night, officers on Elm Street near the intersection of MLK, where the railroad tracks are, started to take rocks and other objects being thrown at them from that position. At that point, we did deploy pepper spray to try to regain control of that particular area. At that point, we did deploy a number of officers to the area to try to maintain control. And as you've heard and as you've seen, a number of businesses were broken into and vandalized along the South Elm Street corridor. What I would say is this: the Greensboro Police Department, we respect and support the ability of any citizen to exercise their First Amendment right. And I think that we displayed that yesterday. This has been a really tumultuous week for a number of us. And I know that you've seen an example, and maybe the worst example, of what a law enforcement officer can do. But what I will say is this, is that yesterday I saw the best in law enforcement. I saw patience, I saw tolerance, and I saw cooperation with our citizens in an effort to provide a peaceful environment for people to exercise their First Amendment rights. Unfortunately, that was disrupted by people that wanted to destroy and disrupt. That's not productive. That doesn't honor the memory of George Floyd. That doesn't make us better. That doesn't get us to move past this point and build upon it. It simply doesn't. The epicenter of civil rights, one of them in this country, is right here in Greensboro, the Civil Rights Museum. There have been a number of stories around about who broke the glass at the Civil Rights Museum. We don't know who broke it at this point. We're investigating a lot of different things. But the fact is, really, a beacon of light was damaged last night. It'll be repaired and we'll move on, and it'll still be that same beacon of light. But my point is this: that was not productive to damage that symbol in our community. Neither was it productive to damage a number of the businesses that employ people right here in this community, a number of small businesses, a number of businesses that are locally owned, that have endured a crisis already because of the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic that we've endured. It didn't help the community. So I think at this point we have to think about, what can we do different? What can we do about people that come from outside of our community, and instead of promoting peace and the First Amendment, promote destruction? We got to think about how we handle that next time. So at this point, the work begins. We have to figure out what we do. What conversations do we have? What actions do we take? We're not sure what's going to happen over the next few days. We're still trying to figure that out. There are a number of protests going on throughout the state and the country. We don't know if protests are coming back to Greensboro at this point. We're still working on that. But what I will say is this: whatever comes back to Greensboro, we will respond appropriately. We will be respectful. We will protect your First Amendment right and your safety.